my nuclear family, Ahliya, and my extended family, Ahliya and Brunel, good morning. Salam alaikum. Does it work? It works, yeah? Okay. Before I start, may I ask you some questions? Who is ready to volunteer with me here to do some exercise? I just want to see your hands, if possible. Thank you. We have 3 volunteers. Thank you so much. Another question is, who can volunteer to share with me his successful story, like the secret of his success in life? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Again, we have 3 volunteers. Okay, so it is a good answer to start with. My name is Alyaa Al Yousif. I'm the second year PhD researcher or student. It's up to you what you expect. Almost in April, inshallah, the second birthday party of my research in April. So I need to celebrate for that. As you see, my title is the role of prosocial volumotive in relationship. Now, the main topic is knowledge sharing. I will start from your answers. Some are willing to share, and some are hesitated to share. Maybe some were thinking, why should I share? Maybe others were thinking as well, if I share my secret of life, what is the consequences might be? Some might ask, why is she asking this question? Others may think, oh, come on, it's a private thing. It's a private thing. It's mine. Why she's asking this question? Many questions might gone through in your mind. Now, the question is why? Why all of us are different in interpreting the question? Why we have different expected answers? We will have the answer through this journey of presentation today. I will not read these actually, just have a quick glance on this slide. Here we are, introduction to the key definitions. Now, voluntary knowledge sharing and solicited knowledge sharing, which is something very interesting to me, actually, when I came through these 2 phenomena. The voluntary knowledge sharing, it means that with your free will, you are sharing. Solicited, it means that you are asked to do so. So when I ask the question, it is absolutely voluntary. It's up to you whether you want to share or not to share. There is a difference between when I asked you to do so, your response might be solicited, volunteering, or if we look at the other side, at the other time, maybe I didn't ask this question, but maybe some of you feel that I need to share my experience because they need it for the others' well-being. It's not for my interest. In this case, it is a clear example for a voluntary sharing, opposite to solicited sharing. Now we go to the pro-social value motive. According to Clary et al., they said that there are different motives to share, to volunteer, different motives. One of it is the pro-social value motive. Actually, referring back to my colleague's topic about motivation, I've read many papers about motivation. But then intrinsic, between extrinsic, intrinsic, and all those things, then it grasps my attention when I came to the pro-social value motive. There is kind of motivation which depends on your values, which is usually hidden within the person. So this factor is very important because it is a forcing factor. It will deliver the action and the behavior of people. Big 5 personality traits. It's the model used in understanding and understanding the prediction of the volunteering behavior. If I want to predict now who will answer my question, if I am a manager and you are my employees, and if I know very well my employees, I can predict who will volunteer with me, right? For example, in such event, let us suppose that the organizer was in lack of time, squeezed in the corner, needs help. Immediately people comes in his mind. Yes, I will ask X person, I will ask Y person. Why he skipped the others? Because he knows that these people are always ready to volunteer, even though they are lack of time. Now, the theoretical background regarding the personality, Big 5 personality trait theory. Those scholars and a chain of scholars kept adding and adding and adding to this theory. The differences embodied in personalities are explored by a popular model called Big 5 personality traits, which are openness to experience, of course, and consciousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and emotional stability. Unfortunately, we individuals, sometimes we don't know our personality traits. Sometimes we keep asking ourselves, why did I respond in this way? Why I didn't do this and I didn't do that? Sometimes we hesitate. Sometimes we feel very sorry about all our actions. Once it's come to evaluate our actions, we always blame ourselves. Why in other times we are always proud of ourselves, proud of our behavior? Sometimes we are trying to push ourselves to be someone else while I'm a different person, because we don't know actually our personality traits. Once we know our personality traits, it is very easy to step forward. It's very easy to evaluate our actions. It's very easy to understand why I behave in this way, not in that way. This is the importance of personality traits. Now, the contribution in knowledge, according to Malik and Canwell, advise managers to employ staff with extraversion characteristics for being useful to expand the interests of knowledge-sharing practices. And there are many studies talking about the traits that each group of people with certain traits are good for something. So, I've been through many studies talking about what traits are useful for knowledge sharing. Others are talking about what traits are suitable for volunteering. Now, we will see in the coming slides exactly what is my contribution. The effect now, the contribution in voluntary. The effect of personality trait on volunteering differs according to the type of volunteering, either formal, informal, or online. This is for Ackerman and Wilson. They categorize it into three. Formal, it means that you can volunteer within your organization, either to advise or to share your successful story, or let us say you've been through a training and you want to share the training outcomes with your colleagues within the boundary of your organization. That is called the formal volunteering. The informal, of course, it is opposite to that. Any activity, you do it outside your organization. For example, in your neighborhood, you are giving hand, you are helping elderly people, any other group who need your help. This is outside the boundary of your organization. And of course, the online voluntary, which is now every concept coming in new because of the technology. There is online also volunteering. Sometimes you want to share online, sometimes you want to give advice online without face-to-face interaction. So the pro-social value motive to volunteering, which is I'm considering here in my study, is for these two guys, Clary and Mark Snyder. They have these functions. Like I might volunteer because of values. Maybe I want to understand a topic, so I volunteer to understand more. Maybe I want to enhance, I want to enhance my personality. I want to enhance my skills. I need, for example, a career development path or socially interaction. Maybe I volunteer for my prestige. Maybe I volunteer to be someone famous in the society. Maybe I want to interact with other people. I need to be a socialized person. And protected. Some people do volunteer to protect something they are suffering from. Like it might solve some problems I'm facing. So through volunteering, I can satisfy this specific need. Okay, reaching now to the gaps I found in the literature. The first one is paradox of knowledge sharing motivation force. What I mean by these two hands, just remember this picture, I will come to it later also. Either hoarding knowledge or sharing knowledge. This I call it the willingness. The willingness equals the main force of knowledge sharing. Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation are the complementary. So intrinsic, extrinsic are not the major force for volunteering, especially in sharing your knowledge. So the main force is the willingness, and the complementary are the external and internal. So why people are not motivated similarly? There are studies talking about that. And there are calls also from scholars for researchers to investigate and test and examine and search more studies, more researchers about what motivated people to share their knowledge or to voluntarily sharing their knowledge. So pro-social value motive to volunteering as predictor of voluntary knowledge sharing behavior is rarely considered in the literature, which is one of the targets of my study. The second gap, measuring the voluntary knowledge sharing behavior. Now, this type of behavior is rarely distinguished in the measuring part. As we see, I kept here only few examples that some studies like Hoffman, Wieland, Hoffman-Rieder, Bibianelli, Lin, they examined the knowledge donating and knowledge collecting separately when they came to measure the knowledge sharing behavior of people. Whereas the other group, even though they are tackling in their literature review the difference between both types, as each type has its different nature, but they are measuring the knowledge sharing behavior in general. So they are targeting the general knowledge sharing behavior, not specifically each type separately. And these are all the studies. It's not all the studies, some of the studies. So the majority are measuring the general, and very, very few are measuring both types separately, which is an area of improvement I have it for my study. The third gap, although knowledge sharing is voluntary in its nature, and Big Five personality also, this theory is used also as a theory to predict voluntary behavior, yet very rare studies are underpinning this theory, Big Five personality trait, to predict the knowledge sharing behavior. If you know your position, you will understand your condition. Actually, I like this thing. And this might answer the question that I asked you in the beginning of my speech. Why people interact differently, respond differently? They need to know their position, and then they will understand their condition. Now, going to the fourth gap, now I will talk about the context. The voluntary knowledge sharing behavior was studied in the context of health centers, scientific research centers, but not in higher educational institutes. So my target is to apply this study in the universities in Bahrain. Now, why in Bahrain, not in anywhere else? Now I will answer this question. Let us have a look now at the Global Knowledge Index of Bahrain compared with the GCC countries. If we look at the first one on the right over there, we will find those readings here. That Bahrain, let us say, which is 55.7, is the fourth country in the GCC. It's the fourth. Actually, when I went to this reading, I feel the pain for my country. Why the fourth country in the GCC? I was really shocked. Again and again, I was searching, I was looking, I was reading, and many things that the seen in my eyes is Bahraini people are. How many percentage of Bahraini people are learning and gaining knowledge, and they love to learn, and they have degrees and many researches. It's not possible. How come then Bahrain is the fourth? Actually, I didn't accept that. So I had a strong feeling that, khalas, I will do my research in Bahrain. I want to add value to my country, so that, inshallah, if I get good result, maybe it will contribute to change the knowledge.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yes. We have only limited time. Please conclude.
Inshallah, I will conclude. Now, comparing Bahrain, not only with the GCC countries, but with Bahrain. In the last year, there is a declare in Bahrain with the last year. So we want Bahrain to progress, not to go backward. Unfortunately, comparing 2019-2018, it is backward. These are my research questions. What is the relation between personality traits and voluntary knowledge sharing behavior? And the second one is, how does pro-social value motive to volunteering mediate the relationship between personality traits and voluntary knowledge sharing behavior? Concluding with my last slide, contribution knowledge sharing behavior with the lens of volunteerism to raise the global, the Global Knowledge Index, knowledge competitiveness in HEIs. A contribution to the theory of Big Five personality trait to be used for voluntary knowledge sharing behavior for the well-being of the society as a distinguished dimension of knowledge sharing behavior. Considering the pro-social value motive to volunteering among academics in the context of universities. I'm done now. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there is any question.
Thank you.